Hi and welcome to another karting video from the Club 100 Sprint 60 series. After round 3 at Lyd, we're back racing, this time at Buckmore Park. Last year it looked like we might not be racing at Buckmore Park ever again due to COVID restrictions forcing the circuit to close, and the owners were looking for alternative ways of generating income. They'd requested planning permission to turn the paddock into some kind of temporary storage facility, but this was denied and things were looking quite bleak to say the least. But thankfully they're open again, and we were one of the first events to run once the lockdown restrictions had eased. Originally we were supposed to be racing in Wales, but the government there weren't able to give assurances that the event could go ahead, so we found ourselves at Buckmore Park. I hope that people will go back and support the circuit and things will be better, and hopefully we'll be back racing there in 2022. So we're now in the qualifying session. The green flag has just been thrown. Yet again, I managed to set my fastest time of the combined practice and qualifying session outside of the qualifying part. But you know, I just need to focus a bit more during the qualifying part, and hopefully results will be better as time goes on. So at the start of the session, I'd always planned to try and follow a faster driver in an attempt to set a better time. And you'll see in a minute I will have a faster driver go past me. So the plan, as I said, the plan was to, latch on to the back of a faster driver, follow them, and hopefully therefore improve my lap times as a result. So I made a small mistake coming out of hairpin 1, which obviously allowed this guy here to catch me up, and I've now been passed by Anwar, who's one of the front runners, so I wasn't too disappointed. I thought that's fine, I'll follow Anwar and hopefully he'll drag me around to get a decent time. So I'm keeping it reasonably neat and tidy through here. Not too bad through hairpin 1. Coming into hairpin 2, Anwar gets a much better exit out of hairpin 2 than me, and you can see he's almost vanished. But unfortunately it all kind of goes wrong coming down to paddock. I just outbrake myself, have a little bit of a lock up, and basically ruin that lap, and then get caught by more faster carts. So that's pretty much my session over, to be honest, at that point. And you can see I lost quite a bit of time, even slower than the previous lap where Anwar had caught me up. good second slower at that point. Right, on to race 1. So coming up to the line to take the race start. Do a reasonable job. I think I'm starting 32nd or 33rd, something like that. So make a reasonably good start. Nobody's getting away from me at this point. Quite neat and tidy through T1 and T2. Again, reasonable job of defending through hairpin 1, but for some reason I decided to stay around the outside of hairpin 2 and just lost a bunch of places. And lost a couple more places coming down the hill as well. Bit of contact at Garda, which compromised my run up the hill and cost me more time. That first lap felt like a bit of a disaster. I felt like I lost a lot of places. And I also got shuffled back through hairpin 1 as well, so yeah, just not starting quickly really seemed to have hurt me. Good thing is they're not really getting away from me. I'm still, I'm still close, which means there's a chance to hopefully make a move. Coming into hairpin 1, we've got a spinner on the inside. That kind of slows these guys up. And I almost make the apex of hairpin 2, which is obviously a fabulous step forward. Again, they're not getting away from me, and there's the odd bit of contact here and there, so they're kind of slowing themselves down. Bit of contact there at hairpin 1. Almost managed to make up a space. But these guys in front are fighting, and it's not making the lap times particularly quick. And I don't really have any problem running at their pace, but I really need to get closer so I can actually make a move. And you can see coming out of hairpin 2, I get a better exit. I'm catching all the way down the hill. This guy makes a bit of a mistake coming out of paddock, and then again in Garda he's way too deep, which allows me to kind of do a reasonable job of getting back on terms. coming into Garda, he's really wide there. I've got a much better exit. You're on full power from leaving that corner up to the turn 1, so it's a good opportunity to catch people if they make a mistake. Again, I'm just gaining little bits here and there. He's gone really wide coming through the sweep there. Inside at Garda, and then coming out of there, his line's going to be seriously compromised. So I'm basically passed. And you can see, once I manage to get past, I'm already reeling in the guy in front. Again, much better exit from Garda. Starting to close. I think at that point that was my fastest lap of the race, which was almost 2 seconds quicker than the pace we were running at the start. Again, much better exit out of Garda. So actually that was my fastest lap in race 1. So I've just done 48.3 and a 48.2 back to back. And you can see I'm now right up to the back of this guy. But unfortunately, at this point, my progress kind of stagnated a little bit. I wasn't really able to take a huge amount of, I wasn't able to, although close up, I wasn't able to make a pass. And you can see I'm almost a second slower on this lap than I was the previous one. And in fact now I've just been passed by one of the earliest spinners. And again, that lap was almost a second and a half slower than the speed I was, the times I was producing to catch the guy in front. And now we're catching another cart, so it's actually now a group of 4 of us, fairly closely matched, I guess. And at least the lap time is, I guess, stabilised a bit there. I managed to go a little bit quicker. So you can see there are now 4 of us together in quite close proximity. Out of paddock, coming into Garda, about to head up the hill. We're going to come across the pace cart, which is going to recover, I think, a broken down cart. The guys in front of me suddenly slow down, almost collide, and I just go through. I was panicking a bit for about a lap after this, thinking I'd missed something and that maybe there was a yellow or I was going to get a penalty, but it all seems to be fine. And as far as I'm aware, there's nothing in the rules that says you need to slow down for the pace cart if it's out recovering another cart. Just, you know, be careful, don't hit it, don't do anything stupid. The rest of the race kind of petered out after this. Nothing really worth showing on screen. On to race 2. The start had a horribly familiar feel to it, a bit like race 1. So coming up to take the start, do a reasonable job, don't lose too much ground, try and keep it tidy going through T1, and one of the front runners has already been pushed out there through T2. More spinners at hairpin 1, getting kind of pushed out of the way there. Again, for some reason that I don't understand, I decided to leave a massive gap coming through hairpin 2 and lose quite a lot of places because of it. Coming through centre, spinner right in front of me. Completely compromised my line up the hill. I remember feeling quite annoyed about it at the time. And you can see I've lost a lot of ground because of that incident. All I can do is get my head down and try and get back on terms to the people in front. Much better exit out of Garda up the hill. I'm already almost closed up in a lap. Another spinner at hairpin 1. And again, a similar theme to race 1. I was quite able to close up to these guys within a lap. I'm back on their tails, but can't. Then I seem to run at their pace. Once I catch them, I can't seem to make that decisive move, and I think that's the thing. I need to strike as soon as I catch up to people. So I've just done 2 laps. Oh, another spinner there, hairpin 2. I've just done 2 laps in the 49s, which is worth bearing in mind when you start seeing the lap times develop over the next couple of laps. Another spinner down at paddock. Definitely a lot of overly enthusiastic moves going on, I think. As you can see, yeah, it's a 51. I've lost well over a second compared to my previous pace, and some of the recovering drivers from the previous incidents are now starting to come past as well. And now all that good work I've done to get on terms with the people in front of me has now been undone, and I'm going to have another horribly slow lap by the time we come round. So an even slower lap, almost 52 seconds. This will really cost me later on. There's definitely a lot of action going on, but it's not really what I need. I need to just get my head down and get some decent laps in. So I tried to go up the inside of this guy at Garda, but he just swipes across the front of me quite legitimately, but I lose a couple of places, and again I'm kind of set back again. And another over 50-second lap. More carnage at hairpin 2. Do make up some places, but you know, this isn't really helping. So I finally managed to go under 50 seconds for, I think, the first time in about 3 laps. Again, doing a reasonable job to close up on the pack again. The problem is these guys are fighting in front of me, and a bit of bumping going on there. And again, I can't really seem to find a way to get past, which just means, you know, I'm not running at the pace I probably could run at. And I'm, you know, we're just basically losing time. Again, closing back up again. Now, I don't know what these guys were doing here, but another incident that forces me off the track. I was really quite angry at that point. I think I might have thrown my arms up in the air. I mean, clearly the guy that spun There wasn't a lot you could do, but I don't know what they were trying to do going through centre. I think that, you know, it's so far off the track, there's nothing you can do. And again, another slow lap over 50 seconds. And all of that work I did to catch up with the pack in front has just been completely undone again. But all I can do is just get my head down, try and actually get a reasonable rhythm, and start trying to at least get some slightly faster laps. And I can see, coming through the sequence of hairpin 1, hairpin 2, I can see that the head of the field are starting to catch us, and that's a consequence. Well, or you know, they would under normal circumstances catch me, but as a consequence of that set of laps over 50 seconds, this is going to happen much earlier, and it's going to have an impact. So I get a really decent run here and just put it down the inside, outbrake him, job done. And that was all set up from Garda at the bottom of the hill. There's a couple of places at Buckmore Park, Garda and hairpin 2, where you're full throttle for quite some time. Now, you can see again, he got back past me on hairpin 2, but compromised his line. I was on the gas probably before the apex and just drove straight back past him. So coming into Garda, at this point here, you are full throttle from here all the way to the braking point into turn 1. So any time you lose coming out of Garda, you just carry all the way up the hill, and it makes you a sitting duck to anyone that gets a decent exit. And then again, coming into hairpin 2, turning in on the gas now and staying on it all the way down to paddock. That's the leader that's just come past me. As I said, I could see them catching, and that probably happened a couple of laps earlier than it did in race 1, and again, just a consequence of that set of slow laps. And now I'm got the faster traffic, and I'm just doing my best to try and maintain my time and not lose too much. Jump forward now quite a few laps. More of the faster traffic coming through. I had managed to turn a reasonably consistent set of lap times before this, but you know, again, because of the really slow set of laps in the first phase of the race, I was being caught by more of the field than I had done in race 1. And as I mentioned previously, I often use the faster traffic as an opportunity to try and nip past people in front of me, but the same thing happens to me in this race. And the problem is, it's very often very difficult to tell if someone that's coming past you is someone you're fighting for position for, unless you recognise them. And I'm still kind of learning who's in the SP60 field. So it's, you know, choice: do you block someone who is visibly faster than you, or do you let them past and try and stay with them? And if there are 3 or 4 carts coming past, sometimes it's just very difficult to know. Is it someone you're fighting for position for, or is it someone who's in the lead group? And as I say, it's a difficult choice, because if you're not careful, if you block too robustly, the chances are they may well find a way past you, and worst case scenario, you may get punted off the track. But although this second race is frustrating due to the incidents that were kind of happened in front of me that held me up and lost me time, and that sequence of poor lap times at the beginning, on a positive note, in both races I was battling with people, which was fun, a bit like Lid and the first race to Clay when it was dry. I've also found a good improvement in pace over the last year, so much so that I think I'm going to do a few lap comparisons between this race and the SB60 race I did at Buckmore last year, because I think it'd be interesting to show where I've made improvements, and I know that I need to make more improvements, but the fact that I have improved over last year and was definitely running much more consistently as well is a very, very positive outcome. And I also know where I need to do the work as well. It's generally punching out the slow corners, in a couple of cases where one of the faster runners comes past me, you can see, particularly coming out of, I think, hairpin 2, they're much earlier on the gas than me, and they're pulling away just as this guy has done here. And as I said earlier on, you are full throttle after hairpin 2 for quite a long time, so I definitely need to work on that. But another positive is I didn't make any huge mistakes over the course of the two races, which again is a positive outcome. And I guess the other thing is I need to be much more decisive when I come up against someone who I've caught. There are a number of examples in both race 1 and race 2 where you can see I'm able to close up on people quite quickly who are running a slightly slower pace than me, but once I do that, I'm just not decisive enough in getting past them, and just end up running at their pace, which costs me quite a lot. And I say, you definitely can see that in race 2. And you can see some examples of the faster guys literally turn up, and then within a corner they've gone past you. And the last point, I suppose, is I need to really try to not fuck up qualifying. I think, aside from Wilton Mill, which was just the conditions really got the better of me, in the other 3 qualifying sessions we've had so far this year, I've gone quicker in the practice part and not in quali, which is just a bit frustrating. I mean, here at Buckmore, I had an ideal opportunity to follow Anwar, which would have been, a good way of, copying his lines and trying to eke out a bit of a better lap, and then I just screwed it up, outbraked myself at paddock and lost a huge amount of time. So yeah, I just think I need to try and iron those mistakes out, and at least try and be a bit more consistent during the 5-minute qualifying session. And it's so very tight as well. I mean, I think if I'd only gone I think less than a second faster, that would have put me almost halfway out the field, I think. And I think there's, it's possible if I hook it up. But yeah, it's just got to do it in that 5 minute qualifying session rather than in practice. So this is the leader who's now lapped me for the second time, which was again as a result of that horribly slow sequence of laps at the beginning of the race. So last lap board out. This has been a long video, so if you've made it this far, thank you very much. And I mean, the reason why it's been a long video is because there's actually been a reasonable amount of stuff to show. I mean, although after probably about 2/3 distance in both races, I was kind of running pretty much on my own, but certainly for the first, certainly for the first half of the race in both race 1 and race 2, fighting with a lot of people. So I'm just hoping that that continues. We're off to Rye House for the next round, which is one of the shortest and tightest tracks that we race at. So it will be interesting, which really just does double the pressure around qualifying. I think if I can try and qualify towards the head of the super heavyweight field, that's going to make getting a good result much easier, because you hopefully don't get caught up in incidents, you don't suffer with the field spread, but yeah, generally positive. We'll just see what happens when we get to Rye House. Thanks for watching, see you next time.
Hello. Hiya. What are you doing at the front, Stick? What happened there?